Good evening, happy Easter, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the T6 Motorsport Super Touring Championship. After a week off, after the chaos that happened in Spa, we take a moment to reminisce. We head back to the site of the first ever T6 Motorsport Super Touring Championship round. Around about this time 12 months ago, actually, season 1 kicked off in barnstorming fashion. Mariusz Zabdir, Lloyd Bidoff in their first ever rivalry. What a weekend that was. What a day that was. We get to do it all over again for season number 3. New drivers, new challenges, and a lot more money on the line this time by. We tick ourselves over into the second half of season 3 with only 5 rounds left to go. My name is Zach Sweeney. I'm all by myself in the commentary booth because Darren has left me to go eat some pickles on a race room broadcast, which is how lovely of him. It's fine. He's come up a little bit short once again because I'm the one that gets to watch all of these amazing touring cars around Silverstone here today. A lot has happened. We'll go through the standings just to, refresh, remind everyone as to how things are looking after the first half of the season and the fresh slate that's now going to be the situation that is at hand going forward. Grega and Gasper P1 and P2. Ben Svarkash ahead of Marvin Mackenberg, with Christian Juhasz rounding off the top 5. Sven Mackenberg is there. He's matched with Juhasz after a recent run of form, or starting really from Twinwing Motegi into Spa. He's looking very, very strong. Mate Mikovic, Pavel Mukonin, once again, those two are matched on P7. Behind that comes Christian Orban to round off what would normally be the top 10 in the championship. You can see there, he's the Cup Championship leader. He is yet to score a podium, which is remarkable. I don't understand that. Christian Orban, step it up, mate. But he is on course to win an extra £40 at the end of the championship, should things go his way. Pascal Jean-Priech ahead of Charles Oyster in P11. Alessandro Ottaviani has taken a back step to this season after other commitments with DTM on Race Room and joining RHG and other stuff. He's down in P12 ahead of Michael Clough. Then Vada Savlovic, Mariusz Zabdir, who only recently really has been able to kickstart his championship. He's there just in behind in P15. We'll swap over to the other side of things. Stu Neal ahead of Jacek Kowalewski. Victor Bernat Rubio after a good couple of races there on 13 points. Kozlov, Mukimov are on 7 apiece ahead of Fraser Rostan, Simon Trebek and Fabio Gil, the last of the drivers who have been able to score a point. You can see a couple of them haven't yet, and a couple of them been naughty and have found themselves into the minuses. But all eyes forward. The first half of the season, it's done. We've had a week off. We've breathed. If they've celebrated today, they've scoffed their face with chocolates. Even if they don't celebrate it, it's a good excuse, right? It is a very, very good excuse to scoff your face with some chocolate is today. So I'm sure they're wrapped up. They are on a sugar rush and they are ready to start this second half of the season in very, very strong fashion. Coming into today then, into qualifying, usual stuff. 12 minutes in qualifying, 2 25-minute races ahead of these drivers here today, and qualifying here at Silverstone. Now, it's definitely an interesting one because in, say, single seaters, sort of even to the extent of sort of GT3s as such, it's a very fast and flowing circuit, and as a driver, it's amazing. The flow, the rhythm, you really do settle into this track really nicely. It feels so rewarding to get right. The offset that comes with that is there aren't many heavy braking zones. A lot of it is mid-speed. It is a little bit hard to follow. It can be very difficult to stay within a pack during the race because of that mid-speed nature. Now, that's single-seaters. The same kind of is true in touring cars, and there is a point to this. Because touring cars, they can make Silverstone work as a good racetrack. And it pains me to say that Silverstone sometimes isn't a good racetrack, because sometimes it's not. When it comes to racing, it is difficult to overtake sometimes. The touring cars, though, obviously slightly slower, not got the best of brakes in the world, and they've not got a tremendous amount of downforce. Effectively, they have to slow down more into corners. Their braking zones are longer, and therefore there is more margin for error. There is more of a tolerance for drivers to outbrake each other into, which means that corners, say, like, even Copse, Stowe, Brooklands, corners that aren't really braking zones, say, in Formula 3 to Formula 4 machinery, are very much braking zones in touring cars, which means that Silverstone is a remarkable circuit. And I remember this time about 12 months ago when we took to Silverstone for the first ever time, I had a good couple of commentary gigs the week after. My voice was gone. And it was because of these guys. It was because of Lloyd Biddulph, our two-time champion, and Mariusz Sabzir, who decided to just wring the neck of the cars all evening long. And it was fantastic to watch. It was incredible racing. And some racing that I definitely will not forget. Side by side into Copse Corner to decide, Copse, then into Stowe, then into Vale to decide the win. Both race 1 and race 2. They were on fire. Of course, we don't have Lloyd Biddulph. We do have Mariusz Sabzir, but we have had some new faces, and the returning faces have improved. They've learnt the craft. They've refined their craft. They've gotten a bit more consistent. They've found themselves into a situation where they are looking very, very strong. So let's see what this qualifying session will bring, because it is a long circuit here at Silverstone. Full-length Grand Prix circuit, of course. We're not, you know, we're not half-hearting this. We're not going to the National or anything like that. Full Grand Prix loop for these guys. Gasper out there at the moment looking incredibly strong. As things stand, is the highest earner of this championship. He's managed to bag 50 quid over the course of the first 5 rounds because of the little extras that we've got, the round-by-round basis of winning a round. When it comes to the standings, he's P2 gross, 9 points behind Grega and Gasper. But when you factor in drop scores and things like that, he is leading the way by 13 points ahead of Greg and Gasper. That's all that really swaps around. So Gasper has been incredibly consistent and effectively is really winning, or at the very least leading the championship. He's been mightily strong, and I'll be interested to see how he gets on here today through Maggots and Beckett's. Of course, you can see the lean on those touring cars. The Seat Cupras purple to the first and second sector, which is understandable. He's the first to do both. But I wouldn't necessarily discount that as slow times, because of course it is Gasper and he is very, very quick indeed. Into Stowe Corner, expect to see quite a lot of carnage and chaos happening into this corner. Very wide entry, very tempting entry, tightens up on the apex, and then of course this run into the Vale chicane. 7 minutes. They've not even done their first lap, and we've already effectively lost half of the session. So across the line, through Club, and the run to the line, you can see well in excess of a 2-minute lap. Probably going to be looking at 2:09. 2:09.665 goes the way of Gasper. Nena Valisavljevic, though, onto provisional pole. I get excited about that because, no offence, Valisavljevic, it's not overly often that you see the Serbian take to the top step. I mean, yeah, it's provisional. Still got a long way to go in the session as of yet. But that's the power of Slipstream. That's the power of packs. A fast and flowing circuit like Silverstone that's very wide. I believe it's around, I think it's 16 or 17 meters at its widest, which is right here on the Wellington Straight, or the Hangar Straight. This is the Hangar Straight. That is at its widest, about 16, 17 meters. So it's a wide circuit, it's a long circuit with a lot of straights. And a lot of time can be gained with a little bit of slipstream. Marvin Mackenberg up there as well, half a tenth off the Serbians' pole time as things stand. A 2:09.432 is the one to beat. The fortunate thing is, though, is that there's only 6 minutes left of the session. You're probably only looking at 2 or so more laps beyond that. Pascal Jean-Pierre across the line, goes up to the front row. Sven Mackenberg on provisional pole, so these times are coming down. People are finding the time, and there is a lot of time to be had. Silverstone is remarkably technical. A lot of it can be done as a driver through Maggots and Beckett, Stowe, Copse, Brooklands and Luffield. There is a lot that as a driver you can do better. Michael Clough fielding the Arnage competition colours. Of course, the vibrant pink that we have come to know and love in the world of sim racing. There in P9. A very, very strong qualifying result for him if it was to stay as it was, but of course slight improvements. Purple to the first sector, an improvement on his own lap time to the middle. That's what the green means, and you can see plus 171. That's relative to Ben Farkash and his pole time, which is now set to see him 28 thousandths of a second clear of Sven Mackenberg, who again is up there as one of the earners this season. 10 quid has gone the Germans' way so far. I'm sure plenty more will come beyond that. Through the Vale chicane, then let's see what can happen, and that's the trade-off you get. Actually, you can see there Michael Clough all over the rear end of the car ahead of him, and that's that trade-off. How well is it for you to sort of sacrifice mid-corner speed by being stuck behind a car? How much are you going to gain back on the straight? clearly enough, because Pavel Mukona, Christian Juhász, Grega Kijek, Gasper Mrak ran off 1, 2, 3, and 4, and improvements are coming in thick and fast. Matin Mikovic, the Hungarian, down in 15th place. He's 2 seconds off the pace, and I can guarantee that's not Matin Mikovic's pace. Maybe by himself, maybe without slipstream, whatever. That's the pace that it can be done. Maybe it was a bad lap time, whatever. He will go out there and he will improve. You can see 2 tenths slower to the first sector. Little bit, not necessarily dirty air coming off the rear end of the car ahead for Matin Mikovic, but more the sense that he's slipstreaming him through the corner, so he's carrying more speed into the corner and therefore can cause the car to wash out a little bit. A tenth slower to the middle sector and finds his way past the red and black machine, who doesn't really put up too much of a fight, I believe. That to be Gasper Mrak. So Matin Mikovic is through a good middle sector and already into the closing stages of this session. Of course, the first time we came to Silverstone, we had to do 2 of them, which was great. Of course, we had to do a similar thing at Suzuka for the first round of this season. Hopefully, that's not going to be the case this time. Matin Mikovic across the line. Let's see what the Hungarian can do. He improves to 6th, matching his countryman Ben Farkash's time on, of course, a 2:09.198. Of course, Ben Farkash gets the position because he set the lap time first. It's only fair. There's Marvin Mackenberg, the man that was not that long ago on the front row, down in P11. The competitiveness, the competition is insane when it comes to this field. Week in, week out, the situation changes. Week in, week out, we have different drivers taking to the forefront. We have different drivers on the top step. Each and every single one of the drivers realistically on the field have the capacity to go out there and at the very least score a top 5 if things go their way. All of them, I would say, comfortably could finish inside the top 10. Most of them the top 5. Comfortably say, maybe not far off that, could finish inside the top 3. And I'd probably hedge my bets that a good half of the field could go out there and win a race if things went their way. That is how close and competitive this championship is. If this is, of course, your first time here on the T6 Motorsport YouTube channel, my name, of course, is Zach Sweeney. Been here since the start. And of course, we've had a wild ride with Darragh Thacker coming in, joining us, but really, we're only the voices. It's all the hard work behind the scenes from Rich Weatherall, Pascal Jean-Pierre, and of course, all the amazing sponsors behind the scenes that allow us to go racing. Imperial Meat and Fish, Udresses Garage, Marche de Meublin, Team Fondue, as well, of course, as our track sponsors that you'll see throughout the broadcast, also making this possible, putting on over £1,300 in prize pool money for this championship, which isn't bad for a couple of weeks on a Sunday evening to go and drive pretend race cars. Can't complain, I'll be honest. Not bad at all. So make sure you are sticking around, follow everyone on the relevant socials, stay up to date. And if you've missed the first half of the season, great. After this, go watch the first half, come back, and then come enjoy the rest of the second half with us as well. Hopefully Darragh Thacker will not abandon me anymore, because I'm getting a little bit sensitive and I'm going to start taking it a bit personally if it continues. Into the final lap of qualifying then, of course, those unfamiliar with racing will know that if you can't finish your lap within the allotted time, then you don't get to finish it at all. It's not a case of that time it ticks 0 and the checkered flag is out. It's a case of that time it ticks 0 and the session is done, son. So it doesn't matter if you're on the best lap time by 7/10 of a second. If you do not get to the line in time, you do not get to finish your lap. So timing is critical, and those that are around about probably Woodcote area are going to be the ones that get to finish their lap times. Anything before that, and well, I hope you make the most of your previous lap time. Pavel Mukona is the standard to beat. And Christian Juhász, Ben Farkash, and Grega Kijek, only half a tenth separating the top 4. That is the level of competition that we're talking about. Half a tenth is inconceivable to the human eye. It's you can't imagine, you can't picture half a tenth of a second. And that is what separates the top 4. That could be the difference between someone walking away with £20 today, or even the championship lead, maybe even more importantly. Half a tenth of a second. It's nothing. But it's everything to these drivers. It's that awkward parallel. That oxymoron between both nothing and everything. 35 seconds on the clock. Across the line for Gasper Mrak. P5 is the best that the championship leader can do. Row 3 for him. But don't count him out for the 2 races today, because that is where the main majority of the points are scored. Doesn't seem to be anyone else to be improving. So it's Pavel Mukona, the Russian who usually comes to the limelight in race 2, taking to pole position here in Silverstone. Only marginally clear of the Slovakian of Christian Juháš in P2. Ben Farkas and Grega Hujek, the gross championship leader, rounds off row 2 ahead of his fellow countryman of Gasper, the net championship leader in P5. Mate Mikovic in P6 ahead of Sven Mackenberg. Marius Zabdir completes row 4 after taking pole position, or at least one of them, the last time we were here in Silverstone. Michael Clark ahead of Pascal Jean-Pietru rounds off the top 10 ahead of Vladis Avlovic. Marvin Mackenberg completes row 6. Stu Neal, Fraser Rostance row 7. Shores Oyster completing the top 15. Simon Trebek ahead of Sergei Mukamov. Desko Choke, Onyan Opacic as well just in behind as we approach the warm-up session. I'm just going to take a step away for just a second. Go get yourself a cup of tea. Go get yourself your Easter egg. Sit down. Be ready for race number 1 as it's coming in a few moments' time. Well then, ladies and gentlemen, taking a quick step aside, we're back, we're ready, and we're eager to get going here this evening ahead of 25 minutes of insane racing action. Of course, it was Pavel Mukkonen taking to the top step. And what we will be doing is, well, we should be taking to a rolling start. That doesn't look to be a rolling start to me. Of course, with a slight problem that was found when it comes to ballast and things. The launch control that they use for the race starts was deemed to be faulty, so they should have changed it to rolling starts. That doesn't appear to have been the case, so we'll call it as we see it. And set them off, of course, for 25 minutes of racing action regardless. There we go. Oh, there they are. Oh, it reset. That's fine. No, it's I was about to slate Rich then. It's not his fault. it just confused me for a sec. We are going to be going to a rolling start then, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time in T6 Motorsport history, we take our return to Silverstone. Season 3, the second half of the season about to commence. Pavel Mukkonen taking to pole position. He's joined by Christian Juhasz on the front row. 25 minutes on the clock for race number 1, and a barnstorming race ahead of us at where it all began. Waiting for Pavel Mukkonen to put his foot to the floor and send us underway for race 1's action. Pavel Mukkonen, a good launch as they settle themselves into single file running. Couple of changes in the background, as you can see, a couple of people moving their way alongside, running their way into Abbey, but the action is really going to be happening and going into Village, the first heavy braking zone of the circuit. Pavel Mukkonen able to consolidate that race lead, but it's all carnage and chaos in the background. Multiple cars going 3 wide. Mate Mikovic able to pick his way up into 6th place. Marius Sabt it up a place as well. All through the loop, it's kicking off. Pavel Mukkonen is going to have to defend the entry for the first time, and Christian Juhasz is not letting the Russian breathe one bit. He's got Vince Farkas from company as well. Grega Kucek completes the top 4 into Brooklands for the first time, and a little bit of a look there from the Brewery Sports Delivery machine. Outside line for Vince Farkas as he looks to have a half-hearted attempt to the outside for second. All settles down a little bit going into the complex though, as Pavel Mukkonen able to consolidate that pole position that he worked so hard for, but the pace is so tantalizingly close between these drivers. Around the outside, Sven Mackenberg trying to find his way past Mate Mikovic. This the battle for 8th place. Both of these drivers down 2 places off the initial start, and they do not want to be losing any more time to the top lot. Sven Mackenberg into Kopp's corner. Not close enough that time round, but he is going to be having a look around the outside regardless. As Pascal Jean-Pierre just trying to put a little bit of pressure onto the Germans, side by side in towards Maggots, Beckett's and Chappell. Let's see who's going to be the first one to back out. They momentarily go 2 wide, 2 deep before settling themselves back into single file. Sven ahead. Pascal, Lena, Balasabovic and Studniel beats the top 12. A minute and a half into this race already, and I don't think any intention of these guys settling down. Once again, Pavel Mukkonen defensive going into Stowe corner. Christian Juhasz is going to have to go the long way around. The agility that it takes to do that is remarkable, but it can be done. Unfortunately, not on this occasion, but he is going to try and set himself up quite nicely for a move maybe into Vale. Again, not quite close enough, not heavy enough of a braking zone, or not a desperate enough sort of rationale from the driver, not a desperate enough mindset as of yet. Give him 20 minutes and I can guarantee he'll probably have gone for that move. But right now, it's all about settling in, getting a rhythm, finding a groove, finding your feet in this race. Where do you rack up? Where do you stand? What do your ambitions see to you to go and get? What championship position are you fighting for? How much risk can you take? We're into the second half of the season already. And this is really where that champion mentality really comes into the forefront. How many points am I scoring in this race? How many points am I scoring relative to my rival this race? The first half, you don't really care about that. You're just settling into the season, maximising your points. But this is really where you have those calculations, you have those thoughts in your head. And you need to weigh up the risk versus the reward. Driving for a championship and driving for a race win are 2 vastly different things. Sometimes, yeah, they are the same thing. The majority of the time, driving for a championship might be settling for second. Driving for a win is going for that do-or-die move. And that's the way up that these drivers are going to have to face, not only today, but over the course of the next few weeks as we take to the rest of the championship. Christian Juhasz still on the back of Pavel Mukkonen, practically pushing him through Kopp's corner. Vince Farkas there as well with a decent run just in behind. And let's see what he's able to do going into Maggots and Beckett. Again, not close enough, and fair play. I wouldn't risk it there either. It'd be a stupid move and a very quick way to find yourself either in the barrier or in the steward's room. Trust me, Rich is not a guy that you want to get on the bad side of. So having a telling off from him is a firm no-no, I'm sure. Now, we begin the weaving across the line as they desperately try to break the slipstream. Pavel Mukkonen once again getting squeezed to the inside, but once again parking the car exactly where it needs to be. Stopping Juhasz from going around the outside, but also then doing enough to stop him from getting the cutback on the exit. Is he close enough to have a look into Vale? He's going to think about it. Once again, Pavel Mukkonen doing exactly what he needs to, parking the car where it needs to be. Juhasz not really got an answer for it as of yet. And that's why we're settling into this top 7 train all the way back to Michael Clough, who, to be fair, I must say, driving a fantastic race so far. His pace this evening is looking very good on home soil. He's the only Brit inside the top 10, and he's representing quite nicely. Pavel Mukkonen trying to bridge as much of a gap as he can. Ben Farkash a little bit of a look going into the inside of Village at turn 3. And there's the look into the loop, the one that we've all been tempted to do as the space opens up, but unfortunately all he's done is hampered his exit. We should think, through entry, he might well be under pressure. That's Farkash by Grega and Gasper, who's got his championship rival of Gasper just in behind in P5, the highest earner so far in the T6 Motorsport Super Touring Championship 3. And into Brooklands. Nothing much materialising once again, just everyone just, I think, just waiting for an opportunity, waiting for a mistake, rather than trying to actively go and push the button themselves. And this is what I talk about when it comes to Silverstone, when it comes to single-seaters and things like that. We'll get to that in just a second, because that is a vital mistake, and one that Ben Farkash has been waiting a good 3 laps for Juháš to have made. Side by side, going into Copse Corner, the Hungarian has to go the long way around. Let's see what the Slovakian can do in order to maintain second place. This is great news for Pavel Mukkonen, but side by side through Copse Corner, Ben Farkash keeps his foot, and the agility was there, and he's now going to have a bit of a look going into Maggots and Beckett's. They settle themselves too wide, too deep. Farkash has to back out, but a huge send there from Grega Gasper. He now finds himself side by side with the Hungarian momentarily. That could have ended nasty, but they've managed to settle themselves back in single file. They emerge from the complex, heading on to the hangar straight, still in single file, but this time Pavel Mukkonen with a whole postcode worth of breathing room between himself and the rest of the pack, and that is going to be music to his ears. That is going to be a sight for sore eyes after the pressure he's been under. Mariusz Sabdir fighting away with Gasper, the pole on the inside, of course, of the Slovenian as they work their way towards the Vale chicane. Gasper backing out of that one as he's now under pressure from the Brit of Michael Clough, who looks to go to the outside. It's all kicking off, and all it takes is a catalyst. This whole train, as mind-numbing as it can sometimes be when they don't do anything for 20 minutes, it is a short fuse, and all they need is that match to strike, and boom, you get that. And then it settles again, and then usually, well, it's a separate bomb. Obviously, it'd be a bit difficult to reuse the bomb that you've already just set off. But regardless, we're now onto a separate fuse, and once again, all it takes is a small mistake like that, like a bit of pressure. Michael Clough attacking the championship leader of Gasper going into the loop. He's going to try and get the up and under. There's 4 cars nose to tail just in the foreground as well. It's absolute carnage out onto circuit. Pascal Jean-Pierre, by the way, I don't know how long that's been the case. He's out of this race down in P20. Into the braking zone for Brooklands. I think Zabdir is trying to attack Hujek for 4th. I think he might well have been able to give it a good go. Hujek around the outside, tries to maintain the inside for Luffield. Zabdir going to have to go the long way around once again. But I think he's just been able to get the leg up for 4th. He's got to put his foot to the floor and hope that he's got the traction to get ahead before the turning in point for Copse Corner, because that is going to be a difficult affair nonetheless. 17 minutes, 24 seconds on the clock, and it's all heated up in the battle for P4. Hujek just ahead as they enter the turning in point. Zabdir thinks about it, doesn't quite have the legs to go the long way around, and definitely gets the ball shut firmly in his face as they head towards Maggots and Beckett. So it's Mukkonen from Juháš, Farkash, Hujek and Zabdir, the top 5. The pole driving fantastically, up 3 places from his qualifying position of 8th. Into P5 and looking for more, but Pavel Mukkonen, all he needed was that break. Under pressure with the slipstream, having to defend each corner just in case, wasn't able to break free. Now they've given him that opportunity. He's 1 second clear. No, that's not the be-all and end-all, and that can very quickly close. But right now, that's all he needs to have a calm, comfortable, relaxed-ish, as relaxed as you can be fighting for a lead, race. 1 spin, 1 lock-up, 1 mistake, and that's gone. Absolutely. 1 second on raw race time. Juháš, Farkash, Hujek, they're not separated by that much lap by lap. We saw that in qualifying. That 1 second is going to be very difficult to close unless they get into the slipstream range, unless they work together, unless there's a mistake from Mukkonen. That 1 second, again, it comes back to that parallel. It's nothing, but at the same time, it's everything for Mukkonen to hang on to that lead and once again search for not only another podium but also another victory this season to catapult himself up another place. Of course, fighting for the championship positions that he's in, matched at the moment with Matej Mikulic, searching for a little bit more this season. Simon Trebek, by the way, P13 for him, the T6 Motorsport representee. Looking striking as ever, I must say, the T6 Motorsport livery. Very vibrant. Green or yellow, I'll be honest. I think it's yellow. I'm going to go with yellow. There is green on it. The green, like, next to the MRS, the left and down, that's the green bits. The rest is yellow, I think. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to be confident. Funny story, actually. I remember calling a Belgian man Senegalese because I thought the black in his flag was the green. And then obviously it was green, yellow, red, I think, or something along those lines. I thought it was the flag of Senegal, and I went nearly a whole season thinking that before I realised, hang on, actually no, that is black. So, you know, don't trust anything I say when it comes to colours. That's pink. I know that much because it's our pink. I can tell you that for free. Michael Clough on the back of Gasper Rack. Of course, as I say, the next championship leader as such after drop rounds are applied, and the highest earner so far this season at £50. He's going to be looking for another 285 for the championship win at the end of the season. That is the money that we're talking about. Nearly the entire prize pool of last season is the championship prize pool. That's not to count in P2, P3, P4, P5 in the championship, plus the cup, plus the week by week. £20, and then you get 15 and 10 for P2, P3 for the evening. So again, you're looking at £45 a night. That's another £450 for the season, just on the week-by-week basis rounds. So not only do you have to look at the wider 10-week championship, you also have to look at the weekly 2-race championship across race 1 and race 2 if you want to get yourself some extra cash. And so far, we've had Gasper Rack, Benz Farkas, Christian Juhasz, Mate Mikovic, Pavel Mukonen, Alessandro Ottaviani, Grega Gasper, and Sven Mackelberg. All of them have earned money so far this season, coming up to a total of 50, 175, 190, we get to 210, 230. Which is mega money for, you know, for these guys, you know, whether they're a part of a big esports organisation or not, whether, you know, races with and communities with prize money is their bread and butter. It's still extra money at the end of the day. And for those that aren't a part of bigger organisations, those that don't compete in community races that offer prizes, that is, at the end of the day, a return on the investment of all those hours of hard work that they put in to go out there and win a competition. It's something tangible, something that you can get out of your efforts, something that makes all of this, apart from having the fun, raw passion of it, worth it. Halfway through race 1, Gasper Rack on the back of Mariusz Sabdir, who is still on the back of Grega Gasper, who's still on the back of Farkas, Juhasz and Mukonen, by the way. They're once again separated by absolutely nothing, and once again the Russian has to go defensive because the Slovakian is putting him under pressure. Not quite close enough to really mount much of a challenge, but he's feeling it. He's having to defend. He's having to think about his car rather than just driving and focusing forward. He's having to look in his mirrors, worrying what Juhasz is going to do in order to maintain that lead. And that is only going to slow him down. The paranoia, the insecurities. He's just got to keep his composure and focus his eyes forward. 12 minutes left to go. 6 laps, just about, I think we might make. Probably closer to 5. It all depends, as of course, whether Pavel Mukonen crossed the line. By the way, Escovosi gets a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's an F, and unfortunately sees him down in P19 and last. Huge send on the brakes from Benz Farkas. That was remarkably late by the black and red machine. Once again, as they exit out the blue crew entry, it's all about the exit here. It's all about who can put their foot to the floor first. Unfortunately for Mukonen, coupled with some slipstream, it wasn't him. Christian Juhasz is now all over the rear end of him, searching for a gap, closing that gap, looking into Brooklands, but the gap doesn't come. Pavel Mukonen being remarkably aggressive, just putting the car exactly where it needs to, borderline moving under braking, but playing with the limits of the rules, playing with how much he can get away with. Because that's what it takes. You need to push the limits, you need to push the boundaries. And great respect between these drivers as well, because the majority of people at this level, at this speed, with this much at stake, would be crashing into each other. Christian Juhasz actually gave it a serious contemplation going into Kop's corner. It gets shoved in his face though by Pavel Mukonen, and it might well come back to bite him because Benz Farkas, with a supreme run in the background, pulls out to try and take second place. Doesn't quite materialise in the end, but the opportunity was there. Ben Farkas now trying to attack Christian Newhash has been putting himself under pressure by Grega Hujek, and that's the domino effect. That's the catalysing effect of battles like this. One thing leads to another, and very quickly you've got this chain reaction of battles where people all bunch up again, that Constantina effect. And it all starts by Pavel Mukonin, all aboard the Mukonin Express, is what this race has been. It started as 7, it could well be 8 or 9 by the end of this race with 10 minutes left to go. The up and under for Christian Newhash, this could well be his best opportunity of the race. He is convincingly alongside Pavel Mukonin under pressure. The Slovakian is going to try and give it a go to the outside of the Vale chicane. He's got the inside for the second part, up over the curb, onto 2 wheels. Pavel Mukonin just able to hang on as they run their way through club to start yet another lap. Christian Newhash, a drag race with Pavel Mukonin as they run their way towards Abbey. Ben Farkas start idle, searching for his place in this battle as well. Christian Newhash takes the lead, but for how much longer? Pavel Mukonin has the up and under. He's got just an inkling of space to go through into turn number 3. Who's going to be the brave one on the brakes? It's Christian Newhash who takes the lead of the race. Ben Farkas trying to search for the gap as well. The inside materializes going into the loop. They're side by side in the background as well. Pavel Mukonin from the top of the world to the back step of the podium. Ben Farkas is through into second. Mariusz Sabdi is side by side with Grega Hujek. They're making the most of the carnage and chaos, and then nose to tail the entirety of the top 6 with 9 minutes left to go of race number 1 into Brooklyn's corner, and Ben Farkas way too late on the brakes, and all of that hard work is undone because Pavel Mukonin launches an insane counter-attack to the inside of Brooklyn's, gets it done by Luffield, and is back in the second place and has sight of his main rival of Christian Newhash. There's Gasper Rack side by side with Mariusz Sabdi as well. They need to be careful not to lose sight of the top 3 because there you can see the navy blue and grey machine of the Slovenian Gasper Rack, the championship leader, wants to maximise his points all today, and I'm sweating already. It's not even race 2. Christian Newhash now leads. What a move that was to get that done. I'm just gonna breathe for a second while I still can, because these guys are just insane. And this is what you can believe what I said last season about losing my voice because of these guys. They are so good. Love every bit of it. Dara Thacker, mate, you're missing out. You chose pickles over this, man. Priorities. It's fine. I'm being selfish. I get to enjoy this all to myself. 7 minutes 55 seconds left to go on the clock. Grega Hujek in the mix, and I told you it could well become a 7-car train. Turn 8, turn 9. Sven Mackenberg is right there. 7 minutes left to go, and we've got a pack race. 9 cars for the lead of the race. The top 10 separated by just 5 seconds. If you're tuning along on the YouTube chat, do make sure you come say hello. Give me your thoughts, feelings, queries, questions. What a mad race this is, am I right? Gasper Rack looking to promote himself into 4th place against Mariusz Sabdi, who has that outside momentum and just swings his way through just to hang on to 4th place. Nicely done. Gasper Rack is there. Jano's competition car fighting away again with Grega Hujek in 7th now to move it down. He's side by side with Michael Clough, who's up 3 places from where he started, looking for, I believe, a season best result of 6th. 7 minutes left to go, just under, and into Brooklands. There's the Slovenian. Obviously, Rich complained that there was no T6 Motorsport clips in my 2023 show reel. Look out for 2024. I'm sure there's going to be a couple. Absolutely. What racing this has been. And we still have race 2 yet, by the way. I need to pace myself. We still got race 2. Gasper Rack is there. A little bit wide through Cops, and that could open the door for Michael Clough. You can see the closing speed the pink and white machine has. Going into Maggots Beckett's, then into Chapel. Rack side by side, has the outside line, turns inside. The up and under is there though. No way through as of yet. There is also Grega Hujek, who does like those 50-50 moves through Maggots and Beckett's. He likes to stick his nose in to other people's business, likes to third party these battles. The top 3, because of the battling that's been ensuing with Mariusz Sabdi and co, they've allowed themselves to break away. 1.4 seconds now is the gap between the top 3 and the rest of the field. into Vale. Grega and Gasper trying to put some pressure. Matamikovic on Michael Clough as well. You can see the very vibrant pink and blue on the outside. That is the Mackenberg brother moving his way past Michael Clough, who is going to get an up and under and is going to have the inside onto the Sir Hamilton straight. Does push Mackenberg a little bit wide, and the German does have to tuck in behind the Brit, who is flying here today and will be on reverse grid at second row. The Mackenberg brothers, as things stand, will take that reverse grid pole and front row as well. 5 minutes left to go, but Sven Mackenberg is not focused on race 2 right now. He wants to maximise his points haul for race 1. Juhász yet to be under pressure from Pavel Mukkonen at the front of the field. Pavel Mukkonen maybe just waiting for that golden opportunity to strike once again. The good news is that if he can work with Juhász for the next 2 minutes, for the next lap, get away from Farkas a little bit, he's fair game. It's a 1v1. It's no longer a 1v1, v1, 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 v1. You're not fighting 6 other drivers for that track position. It's a one-on-one. You're isolated. You're in your own world. You don't necessarily have to be concerned about trying to set up a switchback, going deeper into a corner out of fear that a driver's going to charge their way up the inside. If you can have your own track space, being the trailing car is so much more advantageous, because you can manipulate the situation a lot more. You can set yourself up, you can plan ahead. Right now, fairly civil amongst the top 3. Behind that, though, I don't quite think they're getting the same treatment. Seems like a war zone, a bloodbath. 4 minutes left to go. We're going to be heading on to the penultimate lap of this race. We are going to get 11, 12 laps in the end of things. Pretty much bang on what we'd expect. Pavel Mukkonen then, this might well be it. Defensive goes Juhász. Mukkonen looking to the outside. But tough, he was a little bit far back. Not quite enough. But it's all about setting yourself up going into Vale. He had the space back to Ben Farkas in order to do it. He's going to try and replicate the move that Christian Juhász did on him a couple laps prior. Not quite close enough, but he's going to set it up, not for 1 cutback, maybe for 2, but immediately, look at that, through 3 corners of setbacks, through setups. And Ben Farkas is now breathing down the neck of Pavel Mukkonen. And that's why it's so dangerous. As a trailing car who's now sandwiched between 2, and by the way, Christian Juhász, Ben Farkas, 2 drivers, no thanks. Absolutely not. I would not want to be racing them. And that's no disrespect to them. It's all the respect to them. They are ruthless. And the pressure that is on Pavel Mukkonen right now, if he wants to win this race from pole position, is immense. And that's the expectation. You set pole position, and you know that you're the quickest driver on track. You expect to win. You've got the prime seat. How can you lose? That's the expectation for pole position. And that's an expectation that Pavel Mukkonen wants to live up to. It's one that he set himself. And it's a realistic target. It's not even a case of he got pole position, but his consistency was terrible. He made 1 mistake. And it wasn't even a mistake. It was just not perfection. And Christian Juhász was immediately on there to capitalise. 0.2 of a second is the gap. 2 minutes 20 is the time on the clock. 1 more lap after this, and race 1 will be decided. And this is the best kind of race. You don't know who's going to win until they're going to exit the final corner. Still so much to be uncovered, and so much more to ramp it up to. I mean, we've taken it to maybe 90 so far this race. Get onto the last lap when you've got desperate drivers vying for points and prize money, and they are going to take it up to a 97, 98, 99, 100, and it is going to push that upper boundary. 1 minute 43 on the clock, 42, 1, 40, last lap left. Once they cross the checkered flag, well, once they cross the line, I should say, to then start their pursuit towards the checkered flag. Ben Farkas looking to the outside of Pavel Mukkonen. Doesn't quite find a way through as of yet. Defensive, and all this is going to do is help Christian Juhász on that final run. Ben Farkas is pushing the limits on the brakes, and they need to be careful, because if either of these drivers want to win this race, they cannot lose sight of Christian Juhász. 1 minute 10 on the clock. Final lap of race 1. Marius Abdic, Gasper ran off the top 5. Let's see if that battle is going to change over the course of the next lap here at Silverstone. Be interesting as well to see who got the fastest lap this race as well, because none of them have really been able to put in a quick lap. They've not been hot lapping, they've been racing. maybe it's one of the Mackenbergs. I'm not entirely sure as to who's got the fast lap at the moment. But the Mackenbergs were closing in, and by sort of that logic, they were pushing hard. They were hot to close the gap. The final run, by the way, through the Hanger Straight towards, or the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands. And no changes. Each corner passed by is one less opportunity to win this race. But it's also, for Christian Juhasz, it's one step closer to victory. There he is. What a season he's had so far, in all fairness. It's not quite been as consistent as I'd have expected, but he's still there inside the top 5 in the championship. He's still closing in on Marvin Mackenberg, on Ben Farkas. A top 3 in this championship is still firmly within reach of Christian Juhasz, and maybe even more. Who knows what's to come in the sort of the span of the second half of this season, because of all that we saw over the course of the first. What's to say that Juhasz won't go and win every race of this second half of the championship? Based off the scenes that I'm seeing so far from Silverstone, I highly doubt that. But he's driven himself with such composure over the course of race 1, bided his time, dealt with the pressure of such a pack. He's trying to attack for the race lead, whilst also keeping 5 other cars who want to be in his position equally as much. And he composed himself, and he immediately saw and exploited that imperfection of Pavel Buchanan through Stowe Corner, going into Vale, and he committed. He drove with confidence, and he's composed himself this final lap to drive it home. He's kept it on the tarmac. He's got one more corner left to go. Christian Juhasz, on the return to Silverstone, on the return to the T6 Motorsport Super Touring Championship Season 3, he's going to cross the line first, victorious for race number 1, and what a race that was. Pavel Buchanan, Ben Farkas the podium. We'll run you through the final finishing order in just a moment, but what a race, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for race 2, by the way. It's going to be equally as good, I'm sure. Vadisavljevic down in P12, not going to be overly happy with that race, but we're just waiting for the next couple of drivers to cross the line, and then we'll run you through how they all rack up after 25 minutes of racing action. Opicic, driver that wants to score some points as he's in the minuses, down in last place. Christian Juhasz then, victorious, ahead of Pavel Buchanan, by the way, did get the fastest lap. Then comes Ben Farkas, Marius Zabdir there in 4th. Gasper rounds off the top 5, a nice consistent drive ahead of fellow countryman Grega and Gasper. Mate Mikovic ahead of Michael Clough, Sven Mackenberg and Marvin Mackenberg, his brother, complete the top 10 and the front row for reverse grid race 2. Stu Neal ahead of Vadisavljevic, Roslanch, Trebek and Mukimov the top 15. Shaw's Oyster, Choke, Opicic, Escavoski and Pascal Jean-Priech, the lone DNF this evening. A shame for him, of course, but unfortunate circumstances plagued the Swissman, who's going to be looking all eyes forward for race 2. I'm going to step aside for just a moment. Don't go anywhere. race one already in the books. Christian Juhasz ahead of Pavel Mukkonen and Ben Farkas in what was a very hotly contested podium battle amongst the three. My name's still Zach Sweeney here in the commentary booth. Looking forward to talking you through the next 25 minutes of racing action. Currently, the drivers on the formation lap, and then we'll head to the rolling grid before once again getting ourselves underway for 25 minutes more of action. The reverse grid, by the way, is going to go the way of the two Mackenberg brothers. They're going to get P9 and P10. And by extension, the reverse top 10, they'll start on the front row. It'll be interesting to see if there's any bitterness between the two brothers, if they're going to be going for the lead, or if there's going to be some camaraderie, brotherly love, which, to be fair, anyone that's tuned in for the race room ranked events, they do like to work together quite nicely. Fuel saving, tire saving, strategical games, provided their internet doesn't, force them out of the session before the race ends. They'll be able to maybe bring it home for a brotherly 1 and 2. Michael Clough up there in P3 looking for a season best result as well, getting himself onto the podium. Mikovic, Shujek, Mrak, Zabdiv, Farkas, Mukkonen and Juhasz, the top 10. The rest as they were after race one. They emerge out of club. And Mackenberg front row, 25 more minutes on the clock. We're waiting for the green flag to wave. The T6 Motorsport Super Touring Championship Week 6. Race 2 is underway. Mackenberg, a good launch. Other Mackenberg, also a good launch going into Abbey. They settle single file the majority of the top 10, but it's all about this run from Abbey into Farm, then the first major braking zone of the lap into Village. Let's see if there's going to be any major changes. Immediately looking on the attack is Sven Mackenberg. Matej Mikovic into the side of Michael Clough. Goodness me, the Hungarian was far too late on the brakes there, and the fight continues. The Williams Esports Chill Blast livery emerges 3 wide with Grega, Hujek and Michael Clough either side through entry, and Hujek is not going to give this one without a fight at all. They fly in formation, 2 rows of 2. Gasper rack there as well. You can see bringing up the bottom right of that particular battle going into Brooklands. The outside line seems to be the better one. As you can see, Michael Clough trying to go to the outside of Grega Hujek. Now has the inside line for Luffield. Michael Clough not giving his battle for the podium up without a good battle anyway at all. Side by side, Mariusz Sabzir making some good progress. He's already side by side with Grega Hujek in the pole on the inside of Woodker. Now has the advantage going into Kopp's corner for the first time. He gets himself ahead. Nicely done. The two Mackenbergs, though, a stable lead, 8 tenths clear of the field as they all settle themselves into the rhythm of this race. I had about 4 minutes of calm during the BRB. 4 minutes to catch my breath. And I don't know, maybe I'm just incredibly unfit. Maybe I need to get back to the gym. Or maybe this racing is just intense. My vocal cords really cannot handle it. I need to work on my lung capacity for the T6 Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Maybe we should get Pure Gym to sponsor us or something like that. Get me in on it. There's Pavel Mukkonen looking on the inside of Grega Hujek, of course, the pole sitter of race 1, getting himself an extra point for that. And an extra point for fastest lap in race 1, but did not get the points for a race victory because he didn't do it. Late overtake by Christian Juhasz saw an unrecoverable gain for Pavel Mukkonen, who had to fall back to P2. Well, in the end, fall back to P4. P3 was under pressure from P4, worked his way back up into P2, and is now fighting his way forward. But when you've got 10 of the best in the reverse grid race, there's not really much that separates them. Pavel Mukkonen, yeah, he got P2 in race 1. That doesn't necessarily mean he's the second fastest driver out there. That doesn't necessarily mean he's got the pace to go and catch Sven Mackenberg for P2. There's no guarantee. These top 10 are so close that flipping it on their head doesn't really change much in terms of the pecking order. Just changes where they are on the track. Marvin Mackenberg with Sven Mackenberg just ahead. You can see there's Matej Mikovic versus Michael Clough. That's the fight for P3. The Arnage competition car picks his way past the Williams Esports Chill Blast livery and up into P3. Mariusz Sabzir, I believe, a free agent, to the best of my knowledge. He's there in P5, battling with the 2. Into Kopp's corner. You can see if they continue to battle, the two Mackenbergs are just going to run away and absolutely love their life. course, both of them fighting, realistically, with a shot of a top 10 inside, or, well, a top 5, actually, I should say, in the championship. Both of them are in it. Of course, one of them in P5, P4, that's Marvin. One of them tied with Juhasz in P5, that's, of course, Sven Mackenberg. After Juhasz's victory in race 1, Sven Mackenberg does not want to take any chances, and he wants to be gaining as many points as possible. Maybe his brother can help him go and do that. 21 minutes on the clock left, still probably around about 10 laps or so. Down the hill towards the braking zone for Vale. Up onto 2 wheels, Michael Clough. Taking too much of that sausage gap. Masin Mikovic is going to swap the gap. Doesn't work for him, he has to back out. Marius Abdi, you're going to use that backwards momentum to try and catapult himself through as well. Abby again, just setting yourself up on the exit for this run towards Village. There's Grega Kijek on the back of Marius Abdi, looking menacing as ever. Pavel Mukkonen breathing down his neck. Difficult times lay ahead for these guys. Jim Mackenberg's loving it out in front. More of a fight up against the rest of the field. More likely the Jim Mackenberg brothers are of running away, checking out, not even grabbing their receipt. They just want to get out and go. We'll be done with this race as soon as possible so they can win. There's Zabdir, a half-hearted look to the inside, but thwarted off by the Hungarian. This is 12 months, really. The T6 Motorsport Super Championship has persisted for 2.5 seasons of it. I've enjoyed every single round from start to finish. I don't think I've missed one. Actually, no, I have. I missed it with Ohio last week. Oh no, was it with Ohio? Where was it? Where was it? Can't remember. It was last season, October the 1st. That's where we got Darragh Thacker in, and then we couldn't get rid of him. I don't know why. Unfortunately. All but like two, I think, over the course of 12 months. I don't think that's bad attendance. Definitely better than my school attendance, because, yeah, we won't go into that. That's Farkash in P10 on the back. Christian Juhasz, the Dual Esports livery car just ahead. Again, nose to tail. He's on the back of Gasper Mrak, is on the back of Pavel Mukkonen. There could well be a move. Christian Juhasz searching for the gap on Mrak, but doesn't quite get it. Ben Farkash then sees the opportunity to maybe spark something on the inside of the Dual Esports car, who's so focused on covering off the cutback, he forgot about the outside momentum, and very quickly, Christian Juhasz could very quickly lose 2 places. Stu Neal is in the mix. He's up inside the top 10. He's fighting with the race 1 winner on the outside of Abbey. What a move that could be for the purple machine if he's able to keep his foot in. Stu Neal, take a bow. He's ahead convincingly. Can he defend his position going into turn 3? That's going to be the question. Side by side behind as well. Shaw Zoysa and Fraser Rostard's battle for P12. Stu Neal into the top 10. Grega, hang on, Gasper. Goodness me. I know they're from the same country, but they are firmly not mixing up their names. Gasper Mrak fighting with Pavel Mukkonen. We've then got Matej Mikovic versus Michael Clough. That's the battle for P3 happening just in the background of shot. Just a couple of cars up from where this amazing battle is taking place as well. Oh, and into Lagos, of course. Rich has just reminded me of all the stuff I've done wrong as opposed to the incredibly numerous amounts of times I've done stuff right as well, I think, maybe. Yeah, it was Interlagos that I missed, and Daz had come in and saved the day. Into the inside of Cops Corner, that's Stu Neal. Unfortunately, his time inside the top 10 was short-lived. There's a short joke in there about Darragh somewhere, and I'll find a way to fit it in. Shaw's also just had him P11, up 5 places from where he started, by the way. So not benefiting from the reverse grid, but definitely showcasing his talents in terms of getting after some positions. Not the best run through Maggots and Beckett's, though I will say, from Shaw's Oyster. That was definitely a lot of time left on the table by running a little bit wide. on the exit of Chapel, but that's more the domino effect. You get one wrong and then very quickly you get them all wrong. Stu Neal looking to the outside, but might well leave himself susceptible as Fraser Rostan tries to pick his way through. We've got the tank that is Vadisavljevic, and of course the viewers' favourite Simon Trebek in P15 also. And Lloyd has just come in as well. Lloyd Biddulph, our reigning champion, has just come in to rub in the round that I missed. Of course, I love it. Cheers, Lloyd. You're doing well. Of course, you're missing out this season, but I understand you want to focus on your Affector 2 pursuits, and of course, what a very, very talented driver you are. Stu Neal looking to the outside of Shaw's Oyster for P11, looking to get the up and under. Nicely done from Stu Neal. Read that like a book. They're 3 wide, the pinch point at the loop, and he's up on the 2 wheels. It's Fraser Rostan. Stu Neal does not care as he finds his way into P11. That could have been messy though. Very, very easily could have been very, very messy. 15 minutes on the clock. We're approaching half distance in this race. Into Brooklands. No changes for now. Again, it's all for now. It's all a yet. It's all should, could, would, maybe, if, but, so. All the variables, all the different routes that this race can take. On the clock. Race 2 of week 6, season 3 of the T6 Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Of course, we go back to where it all began. Marius Abdir, Lloyd Biddulph, of course, Lloyd Biddulph, fond memories of this circuit from 2 seasons, 12 months ago, when we took it for the first ever round. Took the pole position of the 2. Was able to fight his way forward and battle with Marius Abdir. What a legendary rivalry that was, spanning 2 seasons. A little bit close from comfort is Michael Clough versus Mate Mikovic. A little bit of a touchy-feely on the rear end of the Chill Blast. Michael Clough, you can tell, very, very close. But Mate Mikovic, look at how much more space he's using going into Abbey, and look at the knock-on effect it's having. That's allowing him to just drive his way slightly away, slowly but surely away from Michael Clough. Maybe what's allowing Marius Abdir is equally to reel him in. Maybe have a shout for the podium place also. It's going to be difficult for them to go and catch the Mackenbergs though. There's Pavel Buchanan, that's the fight with Ben Farkas. This is for 6th. Farkas in the black and red, and of course Buchanan in the light blue, the grey and the white on the inside, and getting squeezed out by the black and red machine of the Hungarian through left field. Ben Farkas has the advantage. Pavel Buchanan not going to be overly happy about that, particularly now as Gasper Mrak forces the hand. He finds his way through as well, and this is going to have the advantageous position for the net championship leader of the Slovenian, who's going to have the inside line by the time they reach Copse Corner. However, the outside momentum might well be in favour of Pavel Buchanan, who is going to send that move to the outside. Christian Newhash as well, going to have a look. What a move that could well be if he's able to keep it within the track limits. And Gasper Mrak, from what could well have been the most amazingly opportunistic move ever, has now turned himself into potentially losing a place if he's not careful, with Gasper Mrak and Christian Newhash battling their way through Maggots and Beckett. Also something that, again, because of the carnage, Grega Hujek, the provisional gross championship leader on points, is out of this race. And that, of course, I think is going to bump up his drop week to this one. So it'll be interesting to see how many points he gets back. And there is contact. The other championship leader of Gregor, goodness, I've done it again, of Gasper Mrak is having some issues. Christian Newhash, not overly happy with that one, I don't think, as he wiggles to just slow himself down and allow the other championship leader to catch up. 11 minutes left to go. We're firmly into the second half of this race then, and the Mackenbergs are being closed in bit by Mikovic. That didn't work. It's fine, live and learn. while Dara's not here, I can embarrass myself because when he is here, he does the embarrassing for himself. So, you know, I have to do it at some point, guys. I have to. It's only fair. 11:30, lap 7. Probably looking at another 5 laps before the line. Maybe. How many did we go? 12 in last one, didn't we? This is going to be 8, and then it'll be 5 laps. Yeah, 5 in the line, I think. To go. Should be actually then. Let's see. On the back, that's Pavel with Conan. And there is Michael Clough, still searching for that podium, by the way. Matovic is ahead of him. Of course, the Hungarian used to the podium glory across the T6 Motorsport, the Race Room Ranked events, and the Race Room Ranked Championship. He's seen that many a time. Michael Clough will remember him taking to a podium position. Of course, that will take him out of the running of the Cup standings, but it will give him podium glory. How much does he want it? Is he going to be capable of having it? Because here comes Mariusz Zabdir on the rear end, going into Stowe. Michael Clough, thankfully, is a little bit later on the brakes for his own good, able to sort of be a bit more direct with the corner itself, rather than taking a more geometric racing line, turning quite late, quite sharp, to have a straight line exit, just so he can brake a little bit later than Mariusz Zabdir and keep that position. Again, there's a difference between the racing line and the racing line, if that makes any sense. I suppose the driving line, the hot lap line, and then of course the racing line. They are two different things. Sometimes, yeah, as I say, they do coincide. But sometimes you do need to mix it up in order to stay ahead or get a position. And then of course you need to do a different thing, maybe to optimize track time. But that whole dynamic is thrown up in the air as soon as you add other drivers on track, because you can't always follow the perfect geometric racing. Different things, different avenues. The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, and that's the beauty of racing, is there are so many different avenues, so many different things that you can do to make a difference, so many different ways that you can write your own narrative and decide your own fate when it comes to your racing. Of course, there is a lot that you are not in control of, and that is also both a beautiful blunder of motorsport. It just depends as to what side of the coin you're on. 8 minutes 43 left to go. Again, probably 4 laps on the line. It will be close. The two Mackenberg brothers still leading, but Matovic now up there with them. Half a second is the gap. Maybe using this opportunity to get away a little bit from Sven Mackenberg, who, of course, his beloved brother. Side by side here, Matovic trying to go for the move on Sven Mackenberg and split the two. However, Sven not going to be having any of it, looking to catapult himself around the outside in defence. He's going to do a nice job of that. Matovic, though, is not giving this up at all. He's going to look to the outside, maybe the inside. Michael Clough very late on the brakes, bit of contact to the rear end of the Hungarian's machine. And let's see what Marvin Mackenberg can do, because this is a golden opportunity for him to secure this race victory. It's at the detriment of his brother, but he wants this race victory. He wants to go for it. He wants those championship points. Looking at the start of the season and the results the Mackenberg brothers had, it was good inside the top 10, the occasional top 5. But the back end of the first half of the season and today, I have been so incredibly impressed with the Mackenberg brothers, because it's truly what they are like, and they are bedding themselves into the touring car very nicely, learning, adapting, and overcoming all of the issues that come with such a stacked field of talent like this one, attracting some of the best names in racing esports. settling down. The timers tick speed definitely not slowing down any time soon. It's going to be a constant looming thing over the heads of these drivers. Of course, Mackenbergs are going to be delighted to sit down to 0. Matimikovic wants as much time as possible in order to find a way through. And similar to the time not slowing down, I'm sure these guys won't be either. They are looking motivated as ever. 5-car fight for the lead of this race. Let's Farkash about 3 seconds off the back in 6th. He's fighting with Mukonen and Juhasz in their own separate squabble. First left, then the right. This is the Vale chicane. Right at the back end of the circuit. To start another lap, lap 9 of what should be 12. 3 to go. Because 2 will be, 2 laps will be 4 minutes 18. So they'll cross with about a minute to go. A minute, 6 seconds. We'll see. If they cross 3 minutes 14, then we'll know. It's 3 minutes 15, then we'll know I was right. Looking in the rearview mirror, of course, is going to be Michael Clark as Mario Sabter is forcing him all the way to the left-hand side of the circuit. Doesn't commit to go all the way to the white line, but does enough to deter the move. Mario Sabter going to be looking to sail his way around the outside, but the pink machine has nothing of it and stays ahead. But again, at what cost? All these guys fight, the further and further away the top 3 are going to get, and that's the true aim. I mean, a P5 is nice, top 5, P4, P5 is nice, good points, but you want that podium. It sounds nicer, it's more of an achievement, even if there's only a couple of points swinging in it. It sounds better to say you got P3, you got a podium at that round. The prestige around it. Obviously more importantly, the championship points. Because yes, Captain Obvious, championship points do help you win championships that are decided by who's got the most points at the end. Of course, if you're playing golf, it's a little bit of a different story. You want to limit your points, but when it comes to a racing championship, you want to get as many as you can. And if you really want to inflate your points, then you go racing an Australian championship, because they apparently hand out millions of points for every position. Honestly, I've seen 3 rounds into an Aussie championship where drivers are on like 500 points because they just have ridiculous points numbers. But anyway, off that tangent, back to the racing. Shaw's always under pressure. Vale Sablovic, some pressure onto him. This guy's up just behind as well. Of course, in the fellow Glory Sports livery. Alongside Christian Juhasz. 3 minutes to go. Hang on, I didn't see when they crossed line. I'm going to watch it back on the stream. I'm going to guess that the top lot, because these guys are at 10 seconds back. Yeah, no, I can live with that. They crossed the line about 3 minutes 14 left to go. Right on par. Vale Sablovic looking to the outside. Bit of a tap to the back end of Shaw's Oyster, who's now trying to find his way into the top 10 versus Stu Neal, who's back inside of it, by the way. So another 5-car fight, this time for the back end of the top 10, spanning from Neal down to Trebek. Thinking about settling themselves into formation. Vale Sablovic backs out of it though as Jean-Pietre goes for the move. DNF in race 1 and aggressive moves in race 2. There's Simon Trebek. Fraser Rostans onto the scene. Fraser Rostans finds his way past the Swissman. See Grega and Gasper on the YouTube channel. Seemingly surprisingly happy for a man that's just unfortunately DNF from this race. It'd be nice if you could shed some light as to what happened. But some fantastic racing nonetheless from today. What to be proud of. What still happen. There's still 4 rounds left to go. 8 races after the conclusion of this one. Lap of this race then, and the fight of the lead has not changed at all. Matimikovic still behind the 2 Mackenberg brothers, who form a formidable wall. Marco Clough is there, Marius Abdi is there. This is that train. 1 lap left to go. A huge squirm from Marius Abdi. Let's see when they cross the line. I'm just going to be off my prediction because they're obviously running slightly slower than their optimal times. They cross it with a minute 10. You know what? I can live with that. I can live with being 4 seconds out. That's not a lot. It is what it is. There was a tolerance of plus or minus 8 seconds. Left tyre went flat. Oh. Not really much that you can do past that point. Ooh, Marius Abdi. Goodness me, very aggressive. That's going to send Michael Clough DQ'd. That tipped him over the edge. Marius Abdi into the back of Michael Clough. Of course, give him the 4x. I believe it's 14 incident points. Or no, it's 40 incident points, I should say, with off tracks and things. So you get 4 for contact if it's deemed your fault. You get 2 for a spin. You get 1 for an off track. And with how chaotic this race has been, I don't disbelieve that Michael Clough was close to that limit. I don't disbelieve any of these guys are close to that limit. But that is such a shame for what could have been for Michael Clough. He was so close to the taste of the virtual champagne. Maybe the real one if he felt like treating himself. But unfortunately, he's down in P20. A DQ to his name, and Marvin Mackenberg is half a lap away from race victory. And he's half a lap away from bringing his brother along with him as well. Mikovic, Marius Abdi still fighting. Is there anything that they can do to get after them? Because it's now or never. Into Stowe corner, Marvin Mackenberg. He's just got 2 corners left to go. There's nothing that Mikovic can do unless he goes for an almighty send into the inside of Vale. He's pushing limits, you can tell. He tried to put his foot down as effectively as possible. It is going to give it enough of a reason for Sven Mackenberg to go semi-defensive, but it's not enough. 25 minutes of racing action for race number 2. Marvin Mackenberg, Sven Mackenberg. It's their Mackenberg moment. They cross the line, 1 and 2 on the podium together for race 2 here at Silverstone, the T6 Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Brotherly love as they bring it home in formation. Matej Mikovic completes the podium. Marius Abdi and Ben Farkas in P5. We'll of course run you through the full extent of the finishing order once everyone has managed to get there. But what a race this was, what an evening this was, and take a bow, the 2 Mackenbergs absolutely deserving every bit of success that comes their way, and more championship points to divvy out this evening. That top 10 is so stacked. Grega and Gasper, of course, the big name out of that race, scoring no points in race 2, could well be his drop week for this one. And there they are. Finishing order for race 2. Marvin Mackenberg, Sven Mackenberg. So close on pace, so close all race long. They work together brilliantly. Matej Mikovic rounds off the podium. Marius Abdi, not a bad evening in the office for him there in 4th. Ben Farkas ahead of Pavel Mukkonen. Pole position, P2 and P6. Not bad going, as well as an extra fast lap point. In race 2, that's going to go the way of Christian Newhash in P7 ahead of Gasper Marak, Stu Nil, and Shores Oyser was the one to get inside the top 10. Of course, with Michael Clough and Grega Gasper's DNF and DQ respectively. Of course, both of them were able to take a taste of top 10. Vanislavovich, Rostans, Pietra, Trebek, Mukimov and Opacic had a choke. Eskavoski, the last of the drivers that managed to get to the checker flag. And unfortunately, Grega Gasper and Michael Clough did not make it. Marvin Mackenberg coming into the YouTube chat. That's damage limitation for you. What? You won the race. Absolutely insane stuff. And yes, amazing racing, and we get to enjoy even more of it. Of course, you can see the extent of what we've ticked off already. All the way back in Suzuka, we headed to Aragon, Imola, the Twin Wing Motegi, and Sparta round off the first half. We've kicked things off again after a week's break here in Silverstone. In a week's time, we'll head to the Slovakia ring before Bathurst, Sepang, and the Nordschleife to complete season 3 of the T6 Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Once again, a big thank you to our track sponsors, individual for each round, and of course to our main sponsors, Imperial Meat and Fish, Udressi's Garage, of course Team Fondue, Marche de Mube as well. It's absolutely imperative that we have the support of those guys backing us. So, of course, do make sure to go show them some love. Rich Weatherall, Pascal Jean-Pietro as well behind the scenes, making it all possible. To the drivers as well. And, of course, to you guys watching along at home, friends, family, cousins, dogs, babies, whoever's been watching along, we hope you have enjoyed. My name has been Zach Sweeney. And in a week's time, we'll head to the Slovakia ring. Take care. We'll see you then. Goodbye for now.